This is State Representative Dane Watro of the 116th Legislative District in the city of Hazleton. Today I have with me Chief Donald Leschko. Chief, thank you so much for joining me today in this interview. We have so much to cover in such a short period of time.
Thank you, Representative, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Hazleton Fire Department today.
Thank you. We walked out here in the bays and I see all this equipment and I'm amazed. But not only are you a fire chief, you're a working chief. We had a conversation prior to coming out here, and could you tell me, beyond the scope of being a firefighter and a fire chief, you also perform EMT services?
Yeah, as a firefighter, at a young age, I became an EMT at the age of 18, and that helped me in my training to become a career firefighter in the city of Hazleton. So that is a very positive thing that we're able to, and as most of our firefighters are, we're able to, on accident scenes or to render emergency care to patients, even fire scenes. And also we get dispatched multiple times to assist the EMS service in the city for different types of incidents that they're called upon. So it does come in handy to be able to perform that EMT duties and help and administer care to patients prior to either EMS arriving or assisting EMS during that scene.
So you wear, and your firefighters wear many hats, and I thank you for that. We go way back at grade school, second grade, first grade. And I have to say that as long as I have known you, you've always been involved with public service firefighting. Could you tell me a little bit how long you've been involved and how you got involved?
So I got involved as my father, my family. My family's been involved in public service since, I can honestly say, since probably before I was born. My dad was the fire chief in the borough of McAdoo, was the fire chief until his untimely passing. And basically, as a child growing up in a Leschko household, you more or less were you were more or less mentored into the fire service. Going to the McAdoo Firehouse as a young person, you got to learn the traits of doing fundraising as a firefighter, become a firefighter, and knowing the operations of a volunteer fire department. And that continued on, and it's still those values that we learned then are still today. I mean, I'm proud to be the fire chief of the city of Hazleton, but I'm proud to come from my family, where my brother Bobby is the current fire chief of McAdoo, my brother Danny is the captain of McAdoo, and I'm still a member of McAdoo. So I can honestly say growing up and learning those values instilled in me as a young kid is still carrying those values today is just most important. I'm so happy to be able to do it.
Yes, Chief, thank you. You talk about volunteer and now being a professional firefighter as a living. Do you intertwine with the Hazleton City Fire Department with volunteer service?
Yes, we're very unique because we're a combination department. So we currently have 23 career staff. That's including myself, 2 deputy chiefs, and 20 firefighters. And we probably have roughly about 30 to 35 volunteers, 40 volunteers, and then plus probably another 20 to 25 volunteer firefighters that are a support service. So we have a large, a good contingent of volunteer firefighters. We're made up of 5 companies in the city. There's 5 companies. We have 3 stations. And again, in a true experience that we're unique because our apparatus is all staffed by our career staff. So when that pager goes off, our firefighters are out the door in under 2 minutes. They're en route to the fire scene. But our volunteer staff is coming from their homes or places of work. They're meeting the apparatus on scene. So what it means is that we're able to get the apparatus and firefighters on scene in a quick amount of time, in another 3 minutes, and able to start doing the mitigation of the incident. Whether it's fighting the fire, extinguishing it, rendering them EMS care, and being able to work hand in hand, the volunteers and the career staff working together. It's just a phenomenal project. It's just a phenomenal way of working. And honestly, I think this mode, in today's day and age, and it's something I think that is being looked at more and more throughout the state as a combination system to try to, not only get fire service, get fire units on scene of incidents quicker, but also to try to help the volunteers and work together and make it work as one conglomerate team.
Yes, Chief, I have to say my office, as you know, just a few short city blocks down the road. And when I first moved in there in January, I know I mentioned to you, I seen the ladder truck go flying down, and then about 2 hours later, coming back, and within 5 minutes is back out on the road. The turnover, the call volume What are you faced with, not even daily, just on average, on calls?
So on the average, and I can give you a little thing, when I got hired in the city in 2001, we would do on the average of about 120 calls to 150 calls a year. Now, current day, 2023, we're doing roughly 1,100 fire responses a year. So we saw a great increase in call volume. That's attributed to, various reasons. First of all, we experience a lot more motor vehicle accidents, a lot more traffic on our roadways, a lot more, people. Sometimes, let's face it, they sometimes when they start cooking, everybody likes to leave that stove because we're so busy doing every other thing. And we have a lot, we had an uptick in kitchen fires, but also a lot of our high rises now have, with their central alarm system, the automatic alarm systems, you could be the littlest thing of cooking and said that steam or smoke sets it off, we get dispatched automatically to that. So the thing is, we have seen an uptick in calls, and that attributes just to, the changes of the ways of, and the nice thing is that when we're dispatched to an incident, I pride myself on this, that we can have apparatus and personnel on scene in under 3 minutes to try to mitigate that issue. So we're trying to stop that fire, if it is a fire, from getting out of control rapidly. The times that they do get out of control is because whether the fire was not discovered quickly or immediately, and that's how some fires do grow and they do get ahead of us. But again, that's one thing I do pride ourselves in our response.
Chief, you mentioned 3 minutes of response time. I could verify that. And the reason why, I remember us sitting in Jimmy's with my staff having lunch, and you were there at the kitchen bar there having your lunch, having your hot dog, and your pager went off or your alarms went off, and without even a blink of an eye, you're up and out. And your entire lunch that you were just served sits there. And that just wasn't a fluke, because I've been at other places where I've seen your family get up and leave to go serve the call and serve the people. Sincerely, thank you for everything you've done. I mentioned, I asked you just a few short days ago, how's your Thanksgiving? Was it quiet? You said, so.
Yeah.
But there's many circumstances where the people need to know that you are taken away from your family because you have a passion, you care, you want to help. And we thank you as a district of the 116th, as a Commonwealth, thank you and your family for everything you do.
And thank you, Representative, because honestly, our job, one portion of our job is having family support, strong family support. You have to have a strong family behind you to do any job you do. And I'm very fortunate, as is all my firefighters, that have a strong family support, because no matter if you do this as a career or you do this as a volunteer, at a moment's notice, you're getting called upon. It doesn't matter, when that pager goes off, you're ready to respond, you're going to do a job. And the bottom line is the sad part is sometimes you don't know if you're coming home from that job. You don't know if you're coming home. And that doesn't matter. Fires don't pick, when a, unfortunate incident happens of a firefighter dying in the line of duty, they don't pick if they're a volunteer career. They pick a fire, it's unfortunate a firefighter dies. And that's one thing that our families have to always also feel, no matter, we have that in the back of our mind, and we want to make sure we come home, but our families are also feeling that too. They want to make sure that, we're coming home after an incident, that, that every incident, and that's our main goal it's my main goal as every fire chief, that after every incident, all my firefighters come home, and I want to make sure that always happens.
We're here in the city of Hazleton, faced with about 30,000 people as far as the census is concerned.
Yep.
And they try to do the best job that they could do possible. We're maybe looking 40,000, 45,000. With that being said, I look at this equipment, and every community is they're cash strapped. They just don't have the funds to support this. How important is it for you as a fire department in such a large city like the city of Hazleton to get state funding, and what type of funding?
It is so very important. And with the help of your office, we've been able to secure countless grants. The LSA program is very, very big in our avenue, because when we go to replace them, we're currently in this, which with the help of your office, we're able to secure a grant to fund the purchase of new SCBA. One SCBA costs us $9,000.
Wow.
We're looking at replacing, we're in a regional grant with other departments. We're going to make a 90-unit order at $9,000. That's a lot of SCBA. Now,
what is that?
So SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus that a firefighter has to wear into a house fire. We wear them into any condition that requires breathing air. That's the air pack that the firefighter will have on their back, wearing it for any incident like that.
Chief, $9,000 for one piece of equipment on that one firefighter. Yep. What does it cost to outfit one firefighter?
So right now you're looking at a total ensemble turnout gear. That's the pant, coat, helmet, hood, boots. You're looking at that roughly costs about $5,000 just to outfit that firefighter. You're adding the air pack, the SCBA onto that. That's another $9,000. So that's $14,000 alone right there that you need to try to get funding for one firefighter. That doesn't include the price of a fire truck, which is about right now about $600,000 for a pumper, and a ladder truck you're looking at about $1.5 million for a ladder truck. So that doesn't include, and that's just the truck. That doesn't include the hose, the equipment, and and all that stuff, the rescue tools that you need. So you're looking at, when you buy a new pumper, you're outfitting it with hose and equipment, you're looking at upwards of another $200,000 to $300,000 just outfitting equipment. So it takes a lot of money, and that's why it's so important for the LSA grants, the fire commissioners grants, that funding is to be prominent to help these communities in these fire departments, and especially here in the city of Hazleton, because you're trying to take tax dollars and try to spend it the best you can. And like I always said, and I look at it as a chief in my budget in the city, because my budget's funded through the city. I'm looking at it's not my money, it's the citizens' money. We got to spend that the best possible, but also those citizens are relying on the service. They're relying that when they call 911, they're going to get a trained firefighter there in the proper gear, the proper SCBA, the proper fire truck to do the job. They're not getting somebody that's going to come there and cause harm or cause more incident to the mitigation. So that's why it's so important that these grants that your office fights for every day for us, in the fire commissioners grant, the LSA grants, it's so important. It's so positive that we not only fund them, but we try to work ways to try to increase funding to help these communities out. And that's just in our side. On the volunteer side, that's on top of the fundraising they need to do to try to get to where they are.
Chief, I could stand here all day and talk to you about this. I'm very interested just because of the public service aspect. And I've seen the camaraderie you share amongst your fellow firefighters. But I want to give you an opportunity. Anything you would like to say, let our viewers know. Anything you'd like to add?
I think the biggest thing is that we need to continue the support of the fire service. We need to continue that strong support, whether it's financially, whether it's getting involved in the fire service. The fire service numbers are dwindling. There is no lie. There is not a farce number out there that people are making a number up saying our service is dwindling. But we need people to get involved. We need the younger generation. We need the school districts to start trying to bring training into the schools. They get that training there. I know we're working hand in hand with you to try to get training into the schools. I think that's the most important part, that we can capture that young generation right now.
You're 100% right. I had a conversation with the superintendent. He's open to the idea. There's some legislation out there right now about a pilot program. I think it's going back to the Senate on an amendment. So we're going to see how that materializes.
And that's so important. I think if we can I think that's one avenue that we need to try to focus more on. And I think we also need to focus on, in today's day and age, is regionalization, working together more. Years ago, you talked regionalization. People don't want to hear that. I'm all for it. Listen, I always say this, and I say this a lot, that the dining room table is large. And a dining room table, everybody sits down as a family to gather. That dining room table in the fire service is large, and everybody can sit at the table. We might not all agree, but at the end of the day, we need to come out with what's the best solution and the best possibility for the protection and service of our citizens. That's who we got to protect. And I think we as a fire service need to sit more at that table in areas to make that happen.
I am State Representative Dane Watro of the 116th Legislative District, here with Chief Leschko. Chief, thank you very much for your time. And let's get out there and support these firefighters as much as we can.